So if you use your left foot, your chute can work through this way. That's the single blow with pressure. That's pretty clever. I like that. We're not going to use it though. We're going to use a moderate blow. If you put it here, you'll get 3 licks a second. That's slow. Mine at home, I get 4 licks a second.
What do you have?
A 25-pound little giant. I've had it for 35 years. It's still running. It's not the best thing in the world, but it works. And I have a little bit of fame, but no fortune. I'm waiting for the fortune part. So haven't graduated from the 25-pound yet. This has already been squared up a little bit. It's an old axle. I squared it up at home a little bit. We'll square it a little bit more back here. It's easier to make a tool out of square stock than round stock. If you use round stock and you punch a hole in it, it could go into a half-round swed to maintain the shape. But it's easier to just put this flat on the anvil and punch a hole than it is to use round stock. So I'm going to take this down a little bit back here until it has a modicum of corners, a little bit of corner on it. I've got a hammer eye punch. I made this punch, I don't forget what I made it out of, but we're going to use a hammer eye punch to make a hammer eye punch. How was the first one made? Between a hard place and a rock. So I've made a lot of top tools like this, small ones, and for most of them I need 3 inches of stock. So we're going to notch this 3 inches back, and we're going to cut it, but we're going to leave it hanging on the iron. Hanging on the parent stock. Because if you cut it and notch it, it'll isolate the heat and keep it out here longer, and the heat won't run back through that little narrow constriction. And it makes your striker work longer for each heat. Yeah, because the heats last longer. So we're going to isolate the heat by notching it 3 inches back. I'll punch the eye about in the middle of the 3 inch, 1.5. One end is going to be a striking hit, the other end will be the business end. Most of these old axles are 1045, meaning 45 hundredths of 1% carbon. That means a medium carbon steel, which is hardenable. If your axles weren't hardenable, they would bow when you'd go down the road rather bumpily. Yeah. So your axles have been hardened and tempered, so they have a little spring to them. And a medium carbon would be anything above 30 hundredths of a percent carbon to about 55. Should I write it down? Yeah. Yeah, I'll write it down.
Okay, why don't you write that down?
Pardon?
Why don't you write that down?
So we're working with about a 1045. The 45 is the carbon content. Expressed as 45 100ths of 1%. Expressed in decimals as 0.45. If you put a 0 before the decimal point, it means 45 hundredths of a percent, not 45%. So it's a small amount. It's not even a half of a percent. But that's enough to make it a medium carbon steel. Good morning. So I'm assuming that's what we're using, and I treat it as water hardening steel. If this was hot work steel, it would be better because we're making a hot work tool out of cold work steel. But it's what I had available at home. So